The majority leader is recognized.
Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent that the Senate proceed to the immediate consideration of H.R. 1868, the Shaheen Collins Substitute Amendment 1410, and Scott Florida Amendment 1411 be made pending and reported by number. Further, that the Senate vote in relation to the Scott Amendment and the substitute, that upon disposition of the amendments, the bill be considered read a third time. The Senate vote on passage of the bill as amended, if amended, with 60 affirmative votes required for passage. Further, that there be 2 minutes for debate equally divided prior to each vote. And finally, that the motions to reconsider be considered made and laid upon the table, all with no intervening action or debate.
Is there objection?
Mr. President.
The senator from Indiana.
Reserving the right to object, I rise today to ask support for this body to fix a problem in the American Rescue Plan, a bill that was passed in a rushed manner with no input from Republicans. I do not rise today to debate the underlying bill, although there could be plenty to debate about it, to make the point we can multitask and address more than one time-sensitive issue at a time. We need to protect senior citizens and ensure we aren't making cuts to a vital program like Medicare, and today we will do that. But we have another issue that we can address today as well. In the American Rescue Plan, Democrats punished red states like Indiana for keeping unemployment low by taking a smart approach to COVID by balancing public safety with the economy. Now they want to tell states they can't cut taxes through 2024, despite being good stewards day in and day out of taxpayer money over the past year. This provision is so troubling that 21 state AGs sent a letter to the Treasury raising the following concerns about the tax cut prohibition. It imposes an ambiguous condition on federal funding. It results in federal conditions that don't relate to the federal interest for which the program was established. It violates separation of powers and fundamental democratic principles, and effectively commandeers half of the state's fiscal ledgers. And ultimately, it is unconstitutionally coercive. Treasury said last week that states can still cut their taxes. They just can't use American Rescue Plan money to do it. But governors and state legislatures are still confused. One Midwestern attorney general has asked a federal judge to block the tax cut prohibition. Multiple tax professionals and outside groups say there are many questions still left unanswered. We can stop this entire mess by adopting my amendment, the Let's States Cut Taxes Act, an amendment to stop the federal government's unconstitutional overreach on states' rights. Therefore, I ask that the senator modify his request to include my amendment, which is at the desk, and that the following disposition of the Scott Amendment, the Senate vote on my amendment with a 60 affirmative vote threshold for adoption.
Does the senator so modify his request? Senator from West Virginia is recognized.
I reserve the right to object. Yeah, I have a statement to make. Last week, my friend from Indiana and I were last down here discussing this issue. There seemed to be a lot of confusion about the Treasury or how the Treasury would interpret the net tax revenue provision. There seemed to be a fear that this language would prevent states from cutting any taxes whatsoever. And the good news is that we received some guidance earlier this week from Secretary Yellen that should put those concerns to bed once and for all. And I'd like to submit the letter from Secretary Yellen for the record.
Objection is heard to the modification. Is there an objection?
No. Whoa. I'm asking to introduce.
Senator from West Virginia.
Mr. President, I would ask to introduce this for the record. the letter from the Secretary of Treasury. Unanimous consent.
Without objection.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Barry. I'll enter this letter and into the record, but I'd like to read the key sentences. And if the senator from Indiana, if I could read this letter to you and to make sure that I don't know how. I've spoken to my Attorney General, who was one of the original co-signers, and I said, Mr. General, I want to explain this in English because it's very easy to understand. It says this: nothing in the act prevents states from enacting a broad variety of tax cuts. Do whatever you want. This is, the act does not deny states the ability to cut taxes in any manner whatsoever. This comes from the Secretary of Treasury. It simply provides that funding received under the act may not be used to offset the reduction that you choose, unless it's COVID related. It makes all the sense in the world. It has to be COVID related. If states lower certain taxes but do not use funds under the act to offset those cuts, for example, by replacing the lost revenue through other means, the limitation in the act is not implicated. They can do whatever they want to, and if they can show other revenue to offset it, that's great. They just cannot use the Treasury's money that the people have invested in their states for that purpose. It also says this: it's important to note that the states choosing to use the federal funds to offset a reduction in net tax revenue do not thereby forfeit their entire allocation of funds appropriated under the statute, which they've alluded to that, which is not accurate. The limitation affects states' ability to retain only those federal funds used to offset a reduction in tax revenue resulting from certain changes in the state law. That's it. That is not, and these are all supposed to be educated attorneys that are writing letters wanting explanations. This is as common sense as it gets. It's a bipartisan guardrails that simply make sure the emergency funds make it to the people that need it most, and the states can do whatever they think they should do and could do. As a former governor, I would have been offended if I thought I was hampered. I'm not. I got to make good decisions here. I got other revenue coming in. I want to cut this tax. That's fine. I just can't cut a tax to be popular and say, okay, Mr. Senators here, please send us money so we can be popular back home, but use your money to make us look good. That's about it in a nutshell. So it's for those reasons and many, many more, I object.
Objection is heard to the modification. Is there objection to the original request?
Reserving the right to object. Coming from the world of business, I've been dismayed by Washington's inability to fix problems in a timely, rational manner. And that's been over a stretch of many years before I got here. I do respectfully disagree with my friend from West Virginia. We should fix this tax cut prohibition right now. That was forced into the American Rescue Plan in the wee hours of the morning. If we want to fix a common sense problem, we are being told that only choice is to hold Hoosier seniors hostage. This is the most deliberative body in the world. This cannot be the best the Senate has to offer. We must get the federal government out of the way and stop complicating and confusing states. They should be allowed to do their jobs. And by the way, they do their jobs, balancing their budgets every year, living within their means. Most of the rest of the country accepts that as well. Given the looming April 1st deadline for cuts to return to Medicare, I'm not willing to let Hoosier seniors suffer. As a result, I will withdraw my amendment in the interest of seniors across Indiana. I look forward to working with the two leaders after the recess to fix this issue. I will not object.